Well, good morning. Thank you. Good morning from Compass Park, beautiful campus. It is our privilege to be able to come to you, both here, all of you that have assembled here at Compass Park. We appreciate you making the journey here. All of you that are online, we appreciate you joining us as well. This morning, before we get to our opening prayer and pledge, we'd like to make some introductions. And as you're introduced, if you will, come forward. First of all, I'd like to introduce our junior Grand Deacon, Brother Jerry Maple. Our senior Grand Deacon, Brother Stephen Bates. And you'll forgive me, I'm using brothers on all of us. Our Grand Treasurer, Brother Kenneth Willis. Our Grand Secretary, Brother Richard Ellman. Our Junior Grand Warden, Brother John Broadgroom. Senior Grand Warden, Brother Randolph Seipel. Director of Business Development at Compass Park, Brother Chad Davis. Executive Director of the Indiana Masonic Home Foundation, Brother Eric Vermeulen. The Senior Development Officer for Indiana Masonic Home Foundation, Brother Stephen Sonnefrank. And the Development Officer at Indiana Masonic Home Foundation, Megan Schmidt. If you would, as soon as Megan gets up here. It's okay. If you would, make all of these very welcome. Thank you. You can be seated. And now, brothers, if you would be upstanding, I'd like to introduce to you the Grand Master of Free and Accepted Masons of the state of Indiana, Gary Brindley.
And it is my pleasure to introduce our Deputy Grand Master, David G. Morgan.
At this time, we would like to have an opening prayer, and I've asked my friend and brother Barry White, if he would come up and offer an opening prayer. Brother Barry.
Brethren, if you'll be attentive during prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us each to be here today, Lord, to enjoy the program that's been prepared for us. Lord, let us have some attentive ear today to bring in the beauties of what we're going to learn and display this back to our lodge and to the communities. And Lord, give us all safe travels home, Lord, that we may be with our families once we leave here. We ask all this in your Son's precious and holy name. Amen.
So mote it be. Thank you, Brother Barry. If you'd remain standing at this time, we'd like to offer the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, once again, we'd like to welcome our Grand Master of Free and Accepted Masons of the state of Indiana, Gary Brindley. Brother Gary.
Please be seated. So good morning, brethren. Also, good morning to those of you who are joining us streaming today. Welcome to the 2024 Area Conference. This year is a test for the area conferences, quote unquote. I know a number of you are probably wondering, why are we only having one area conference? Over the last 10 years, the area conference has developed into just a series of presentations to the craft. And if you don't show up at the conference, you don't get the presentations. Our experience over the past 3 years with Founders Day has shown that we get a larger audience via streaming than we do in person. As inflation has increased over the past few years, the area conference cost has increased, and the number of attendees has remained the same or fallen. Typically, the lodges in my area have an hour to go to an area conference, in at least an hour to travel, and it's on a weeknight. And so it makes it difficult for some of those brethren to make an area conference. Last year, we moved the area conference to 3 conferences and recorded for future viewing. This year, I chose for us to have a single area conference with a streaming option so that all lodges would have an opportunity to view the program without having to travel outside their home community, thus saving their own money. In addition, the conference presentations will continue to be available online for viewing at a later time for those who cannot watch today. We know we have a number of lodges that are watching and holding watch parties. I will ask you sometime here this morning, to put in the chat your lodge name, your lodge number, and the number of attendees you have at your watch party. And we thank you for taking the time out of your day and morning to attend and watch. One of my goals for 23-24 was transparency. The streaming of the area conference presentations fits into that goal, as more brethren have an opportunity to view the presentations. The transparency goal started with the presentation of the Grand Lodge membership numbers in January of 2023. As you notice, we went from 75,845 members in 2004 to 40,700 at the end of 2022, and about 39,300 at the end of 2023. The number of Master Masons raised have been running at an average of 2% of the beginning year membership. Deceased members have been running at an average of 3.5% of the beginning of the year numbers. We ran membership projections last year at 4 different, using a 3.5% rate of death, affiliations at 0.677%, reinstatements at 0.29%, demits at 1.5%, and suspensions at 1.5%. And we came up with these projections. If we stay at the 2% raisings, which is where we ended up in 2023, in 19 years, we'll be down to about 12,000 members in the state of Indiana. If we increase the annual raisings to 3.5%, we will still be around about 24,000 members in 19 years. If we can increase that raisings to 6%, we'll be right around 40,000. We'll stay pretty much steady. If we can increase new members to a 10% level, we will get to 100,000 in 19 years. So how did we do in 2023? So we started the year with 40,772 compared to a projection of 40,700. We had new Master Masons of 803 compared to a projection of 814. We had affiliated of 199. Reinstated of 129. We had deaths of 1,428, so slightly above our 3.5% number. We had demits of 499, suspensions of 648, and other of 10, giving us 39,318 members at the end of 2023. Now, these are preliminary numbers. They were pulled about the 25th of January. So we still have some opportunities to raise new Master Masons. We have 4 one-day classes coming up, 3 of which are next Saturday. at the Valley of Indianapolis Scottish Rite Cathedral, at Tippecanoe Lodge 492 in Dayton, Indiana, at Mizpah Shrine Temple in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and on April 6th at Newburgh Lodge in Newburgh, Indiana. In addition to being transparent with membership numbers, I've asked the Grand Treasurer and Grand Secretary to provide more detailed financial information in the advanced proceedings. Brethren, I think you should have an understanding of where we are spending the per capita we request and where we intend to spend the per capita in the coming year. In my mind, keeping control of the costs at the Grand Lodge level are important as the number of dues-paying members continues to decrease. Having just this one area conference is one step in reducing costs. We've taken other steps to help reduce costs as well this year. My next goal for 23-24 is to remove roadblocks and speed bumps for the generation and advancement of candidates. We've discussed the need for lodges to consider proficiency and move to a method that does not require the candidate to learn the first lecture, pitch and catch, work lecture, catechism, whatever you want to call it. Depends, I guess, which part of the state you're in as to what the name of it is. So I've issued 4 Grand Masters decisions this year, 2 of which deal with proficiency. The first relates to the first lecture and clarifying that the current regulations do not require a lodge to present it if they do not require the candidate to memorize and give the first lecture in open lodge prior to advancing to the next degree. The second decision clarifies what constitutes the minimum mentoring program within the regulations. The regulations stated that you would give a mentoring program, but it did not define what the mentoring program was. So the Grand Lodge office has candidate books that can be purchased as part of a candidate package that includes the monitor to be given when they get their Master Mason degree. And so we've added that as giving that qualifies for the mentoring program. If your lodge does not give that and you still want to be part of that mentoring program, there are Entered Apprentice, Fellowcraft, and Master Mason mentoring guides on the Grand Lodge portal in the member section of the portal. The other items that I will be making recommendations on at annual communication will include changes in the requirements and around background investigations in an effort to better streamline some of the things relative to background investigations and to make the form of proficiency the candidate's choice. I'll also be making some recommendations regarding minor changes in the ritual and an optional short form opening and closing ceremony. Brethren, it's been a pleasure for me an enjoyable year as your Grand Master. And to the Wushel Masters that are in attendance, I look forward to your support and annual communication. Thank you. All right, and next I will call up our Deputy Grand Master for his presentation.
Well, good morning once again. Again, it's my privilege to be able to stand before you this morning and talk to you about, upcoming ideas and things that we can be doing in Freemasonry in the next few months. I mentioned real quickly, I'm going to review just some slides that were used during Founders Day, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about those. I start off this talk this morning asking you a question, and you should recognize the question and you'll know the answer. What come you here to do? All right, see heads nodding. We know the answer to that question. Our job, our role in Freemasonry is different for each of us and yet the same. So looking at going forward, I wanted to look at kind of the situation that America is in right now. The Grand Masters put forth this year some real tough goals for us to meet. And he gave us some information, some numbers that it was very hard to digest as Freemasons. Quite frankly, it was humbling to see those. But we needed to see those to give us the realization that we, Freemasons, need to be doing something. All right? I love going and sitting in the dining room with my brothers. I really enjoy that. But there is more to do. So as I began looking around and studying, the societal changes that are impacting Freemasonry today, they've always impacted Freemasonry. We are not immune. We're not in a vacuum in Freemasonry. We have to live in the society that we are in. That means we have to adapt. I don't want to adapt. I've been a Freemason 50 years. That's not the way it was. I know. And 50 years ago, that wasn't the way it was 50 years before then. Societal changes are really impacting what we do. And so the quicker we recognize those changes and how we can fit Freemasonry into the lives of those Masons that are being changed by society, we'll see growth. I mentioned that, the national news, if you watch it, I haven't in 2 years, and I'm blessed because I haven't, you will see a lot of bad news. It's very dark, and it runs 24/7. So when I was a kid, you got 30 minutes in the evening, and then things brightened up. It doesn't anymore. You get 24/7 of the bad news. We get very little news about the good. And so as we begin looking at that, and we can see that other people besides Freemasons, people that do research and polling, they begin to look at what's going on with our society. We seem to be in a recession of sorts, and not that economic recession that we're always looking for that. They're calling for the soft landing this year. It's a social recession. And that is defined as a decline in bonding and a decline in the general well-being among members of a community as a result of reduced personal interactions. Really? And I mentioned, I think, during Founders Day that there's more than one poll. If you don't believe this poll, please look it up. We are spending more than 7 hours of screen time on our phones. Okay, I didn't believe it. I had to look at my screen time. It wasn't quite that much, but it was a lot. It was humbling to see that number. A decline in bonding. What are we about in Freemasons? Are we not about bonding? The brotherhood? The brother born for adversity? And decline in general well-being. How much are we hearing about mental health right now? The issues associated with mental health. That's an issue of well-being. We as Freemasons, we have tenets that address those types of well-beings. People in society, men of society today, need what Freemasons have. And also a result of reduced personal interactions. This is just one of many research that says 22% have 0 friends and 30% have no best friends at all. Now, when I first read this, I'm thinking, how could that be? But you got to remember, brothers, we in Freemasons, we are in a vacuum. We do have brothers. We do have best friends. But take yourself outside of the fraternity for a moment. Outside of the brothers that stand with you anytime you need something. Yes, you may have friends at work. You may have friends at your church, and you have family, right? But to know in society there are people out there that have no friends at all, that's hard to take. In the coming months, we're going to talk a little bit about how we as Freemasons can be the light. We talked about societal changes, the darkness that's out there. How can we provide light to those men that we meet, those men that we work with, and yes, those men at our church? What can we do? It's really a twofold approach. And I really like the first part because that happens inside the lodge. You say, well, we all love each other in our lodge. We never have any disagreements. Well, I'm married and I love my wife, but we have disagreements. So yes, you will have disagreements in your lodge. But here's what we do as Freemasons. This is our obligation to one another. We don't tear them down. When we speak about a brother, we build them up. That's what Freemasonry does. When we're in lodge, we assist in mentoring those new brothers. I'm looking around this room and I see some gray hair. I see guys that have been members of this fraternity for many years. You say, well, I've done my part. Turn it over to the young fellows. Brother White up here smiling at me. Take that wisdom, that experience that you have. Put a brother's under your arm. Mentor him. You have much to offer. How about young guys coming in? You can show these old timers a thing or two. All right? They need mentoring, especially with technology. In the lodge, it is our role to love one another, to remember the tenets of our fraternity. They're not just words, brothers. Should be written on your heart. Brotherly love, relief, and truth. Number two, outside the lodge. Oh, I have to go outside the lodge? You know, there are many things we can do outside our lodges. If you go back and look at materials written 100 years ago in your community, you will find articles written about the Masonic Lodge. It was a place of community. It was a place that people knew that the men that went there and belonged to that lodge were men of integrity. They were men that got things done in the community. They didn't depend on the state, the county, or the federal government to do it. They were men who got things done. That's what other things we need to be looking at. You say, well, Dave, we have fundraisers. You know, fundraisers are fantastic. To me, that's a win-win. You gain monetary value into your lodge. You get exposure into the community. I highly encourage fundraisers. I think it's fantastic. Getting out into our communities and being the example. And I always say, the billboard of Freemasonry. You are that walking billboard. You know, in our Indiana Monitor, and by the way, it also says Freemason's Guide. Everyone says, grab your monitor. It gives us a lot of good direction of what we're supposed to be doing as Freemasons. It says on page 136, let us begin at the northeast corner. Freemasons, we know what that northeast corner is. But think about it. Not only is the first stone of a building laid there, the new master mason stands there because That's the beginning of the line where darkness in the north ends and the light in the east begins. That's that transition from north to east. That's where our new Masons stand, and many of us still stand there. Page 141. In climbing the stairs of life, we are dependent on the assistance of other men, aren't we really? We should therefore reciprocate by giving them assistance. Our labors should tend to advance society. We are to work for the good of mankind, not for ourselves alone. And that is a societal thing today also. What can I get for me? Page 125. The science is of no avail unless it leads to the practice of the art. And though we should possess all knowledge and be able to, in beautiful and sublime language, to utter the thoughts that arise in us as we contemplate the glorious work of your order, our order, it profits us nothing. It is not by intellectual attainment or oral expression that we become Masons, but by the way in which we acquire the science and couple it with the art of what? Temple building. That's us. And practice it in our everyday association with our fellow man. No degree of masonry is of any avail unless it bears fruit. That first line in there says, the science is of no avail. What is the science of Freemasonry? And then right after that, the art. So we've got science going on and we've got art. All right, I want you to think about this a minute, because much has been talked about in the past few years of the art of Freemasonry. I will propose that the science of Freemasonry is the ritual. That we are supposed to write on our hearts, and it is supposed to change our lives. That's the importance of ritual. It's the science. Now, the art, that has some personal things. You know, you can be artistic, and it doesn't follow a real set of rules. You, your lodge, me, I can display that science through an art that is different than yours or yours. It gives us some latitude to be different. That makes it exciting, Freemasonry, to take that science and convert it to an art. Freemasonry does provide light. And we remember these words. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the earth. What was on the face of the earth? Darkness was upon the face of the earth. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. Brothers, God said it, we can't change it. We are the light. So let's think about the science that is on our hearts and go out there, you and I, with the art of Freemasonry. Because if Freemasonry doesn't do it, what will? If not now, when? And if not you and I, who? Thank you, brothers. Appreciate it. At this time, it's my privilege to be able to bring back to the front my good friend and brother Chad Davis to speak on the behalf of Compass Park. Brother Chad.
Hello, everyone. Compass Park, 107 years that we've been here in Franklin, Indiana. I've been here for 9 years personally, and I have to tell you, as far as the living opportunities that we offer here, it's, in my opinion, the best continuing care retirement community in the state of Indiana, if not in a few other states with it as well. So the best way to predict your future is to create it. We had a resident said she lived here as a child, knew that pretty sure when she retired that she would be back, and she did. She's currently lived here for 10 years, has lots of friends, and just has great social time, and enjoys everything that Compass Park has done for her throughout her life. So some of the amenities that we offer at Compass Park, we have our aquatic and fitness center. We have 3 certified chefs. We have a pub, a chapel, our lighted walking trails, salon and spa services. We do have a bocce ball court, shelter houses and gazebos, computer lab, library, stocked pond for fishing, garden areas, billiards room, guest rooms, and 24-hour security with 220 cameras. And that's a good feature that we have. And I know when I give tours and stuff, that means a lot to the potential applicants that come in, knowing that we have that kind of security and safety, for their well-being. Our dining services at Compass Park, we have our main dining room in the administration building, and we also have our assisted living dining room. And then we also have a bistro in our skilled nursing and rehab center. And then we also have a bistro here in this building in our community center. Compass Park has a new K4 Connect system, and this helps us keep in contact with our residents, as well as our residents maintaining communication with themselves. It's an app that goes either on your phone or your iPad or your computer. And what it'll do is allows the resident to view the weekly menus, the monthly calendars of all the different events that we have going on for that month. It also has motion sensors that are in all of our independent living areas. And what that does is between the hours of 5 a.m. and 11 a.m., wherever you're at, you need to walk in front of that monitor. It detects motion. So between the hours of 5 a.m. and 11 a.m., if that has not signaled that there's been motion at your house, then we will call you to make sure you're safe. If you do not answer, then one of our nurses and our security guard will show up at your apartment or your house to make sure that all is well. Veterans Day, we take Veterans Day very seriously down here at Compass Park. Me being a veteran myself, it's an honor to be a part of that event and that program. Our Grandmasters have done a lot for us down here over the years to honor our Veterans Day. We have the new statue out there in front of our Youngs Creek in honor of our veterans. So every November 11th, we put on a nice program for anybody who would like to come down and join us and be a part of that Veterans Day. We offer many, many activities here at Compass Park, and so we listed just a couple of them on here for you. We do season tickets to the Indians baseball game. Our residents have a lot of fun getting together. We provide the transportation to that, so they will ride down to Indianapolis and enjoy the baseball game. We do have bands and cookouts. We have the IRT Theater. We do have visiting authors that come to the campus, so our residents can visit with them and ask them questions. We have the Flower Bar, the Apple Orchard, and then we also do several educational events for the residents on campus as well. Our Aquatic and Fitness Center, it offers the Rock Steady Boxing program for anyone who has a diagnosis of Parkinson's. So that's offered to anyone. You don't have to be a resident only to attend that. You could be, anybody in our communities that have that diagnosis. You're welcome to come down and participate in that. It's a wonderful program. If you know anyone with that diagnosis, that it helps with the tremors and their balance and those kind of things. So we also offer the water aerobics, and then we also offer personal training and much, much more. As you can see on the pictures there, they have the yoga, our exercise room, and then the different swim parties that we offer the residents as well. So what's nearby to Compass Park? There's 3 golf courses within 2 miles. Franklin College The downtown Franklin, we also have the Horseshoe, Indianapolis Casino, and the horse track. And then downtown Indianapolis, of course, we have our Indianapolis Colts, the Indiana Pacers, our hockey team, the minor league baseball. You have the Canal Walk, or the Indianapolis Zoo, the Indy 500, the Scottish Rite Cathedral, our Grand Lodge, and we're also close to Cincinnati, Louisville, and St. Louis. Compass Park Home Health Services. Our services are not only offered to our residents here on campus, either in the houses or even in our assisted living as well, but we also service 15 counties, the surrounding counties around us, and they do a remarkable job, and it's something that we want to continue to grow into other areas, even north and southern Indiana, to provide for our brothers. So the services they offer is comprehensive nursing assessments, medication management, bathing, grooming needs, light housekeeping, meal preparation, and the skilled nursing and therapy services. Our maintenance-free living, we have our independent living, we have our cottages, we have our duplexes, we have our garden homes, we have our inside apartments, we have our Youngs Creek Premier apartments, we also have our assisted living apartments, and then we also have the skilled nursing and rehab with short-term care, long-term care, and memory care as well. So our South Village, that's made up of duplexes, 2-bedroom cottages, and 3-bedroom cottages. And you can see the approximate size of the homes that are out there in South Village. They all do have the 2-car attached garage on those as well. Our residents say it best. Compass Park is a special community. The facilities are great. The restaurant is terrific and the atmosphere is warm and inviting. Most importantly, everyone, residents and staff alike, consider themselves part of a family. We are lucky to call ourselves part of the Compass Park family. There's no place we would rather live. And that is said by Jeff and Margie Zering. And Jeff, past Grand Master, a former board of director member for Compass Park, and he is currently the president of the Indiana Masonic Home Foundation. And so we thank him very much for honoring us with him and his wife to live here on our campus. Our Youngs Creek Apartments is for our elegant 55 and older community. So we have the 1-bedrooms, 2-bedrooms, large 2-bedrooms, and 3-bedrooms. Very nice facility, very spacious. And each of these apartments have their own balcony on them as well. So that makes it very nice and private for the residents that move in there. They have a nice place to go. And you have one side that faces the east to our fountain, and then the west, which is Youngs Creek. So they got different options and different areas up on top to view there as well. This is just some photos of what the inside of these apartments would look like. So some of them have the California closets in them. You can see how some of them have the amenities with the fireplace and the TV mounted over the fireplace. Standard in all these apartments is that 11-foot long island in the kitchen. Then we have the double vanities in the bathrooms, the dining area, and then an example of one of the bedrooms in our Youngs Creek apartments. So all inclusive for the Youngs Creek apartments, you have your apartment maintenance, all your utilities, your electric, gas, and water, your appliances, your refrigerator, stove, microwave, dishwasher, washer and dryer. That is all supplied by Compass Park. Your basic cable, internet, and phone is also included in your monthly fee. And then we have bi-weekly housekeeping. We do offer the emergency call system, 24-hour security, optional food delivery. They have access to the fitness center and lap pool. They also get 1 meal a day per person. And then they also have their community room with a coffee bar and then the rooftop patio for them to enjoy as well. A couple of our residents stated their warning: do not procrastinate. If you think there is the slightest possibility your future might include a retirement community, then you owe it to yourself to check out the Youngs Creek Apartments at Compass Park. This is a carefree, independent living at its best. The well-maintained grounds coupled with newly constructed 1-, 2-, and 3-bedroom apartments makes Youngs Creek the perfect place to start remembering how to really enjoy living. You won't be sorry you made the move. You'll only wonder why you didn't make the move sooner. And that's by Bill and Susie, who are current residents in the Youngs Creek. And as you can see on the bottom of the slide there, phase 2 is coming soon. So we're proud to say that right now we're looking at approximately 39 new Youngs Creek apartment units being built right next to phase 1. The majority of those apartments are going to be large 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom. And so right now, that's our goal, is to get that started. And I already have 13 couples on the wait list that are ready to come in and apply for those apartments. So our assisted living, there's 48 apartments. They're all 1-bedroom, 540 square feet. What makes them feel very nice is the fact that they have the 10-foot high ceilings, so it feels very roomy in there. And as I tell most people, when you're coming to the point in assisted living, you don't want 2,000 square feet to have to take care of or move around and do. So it's very accommodating apartments that we have here to offer for our residents. Our skilled nursing and rehab, it's 167 private rooms. Again, we do have the bistro in there as well. It's very nice. It doesn't matter what your payer source is. It doesn't matter if you're private pay, Medicaid, Medicare. You always have your private suite, and it does have your own bathroom and shower inside your room as well. So none of the community hallways. The dining areas are very accommodating to the residents that come into the dining room. Each pod that we have is broken up into about 20 residents per area. The staff becomes the waiter and the waitress. They take their orders for their meals. It's cooked fresh and brought right to them and delivered it just like if they went out to eat at a restaurant. So very accommodating for the residents that live here at Compass Park. One of the new items that we recently got here for Compass Park is called the R0 UVC disinfection device. So this unit actually goes into any area that we put it in, and as we turn it on, in a matter of minutes, it completely disinfects that area that it's in. It creates sustainable air and surface UVC disinfection. So 99.99% of all microorganisms are killed by the light coming out of this machine. So we're very proud to offer that here at Compass Park to ensure the safety, especially after the outbreak of COVID and things like that, that we've got items in place to take great care of our residents. So some pictures of our skilled nursing area. We have the therapy pool that has a built-in treadmill in the bottom of that. So it's really good that the therapist can work with their patients that are rehabbing, can actually see how they're walking with the cameras under the water. And it's much easier for the patients to recover walking on a treadmill in water instead of just on a regular walk or a treadmill by itself. Picture of our therapy gym, a lounge area. Just on the other side of that is their dining area, but that's the lounge area for our skilled nursing. Example, the private room that they have, our front end of our bistro. And then we also have our snoozling room, which is what we use on our memory care unit. And that is to help us prevent the use of medication when someone has different degrees of Alzheimer's or dementia. If they get a little frustrated, instead of having to medicate folks, we have this room as an option where they can go in with staff member or a family member, different opportunities as far as using computers, watching different CDs or pictures of their families. And then we have different areas where you can see the bubbles go up through. They also have hands-on things that they can do as well to pretty much distract from anything that was causing that agitation. And then they start to feel much better and kind of don't realize what they were agitated about to begin with. And we can do that without medicating them. So something new we also have is a new table that we have for the memory care unit as well. And the residents, it's an interaction table. One of the popular choices that they do right now is it's a bubble popping. So on the screen of the table, the bubbles come up and the residents can actually take their finger and it'll make the pop noise when they do that. So it's just all about they're having fun and they'll sit there sometimes 2 or 3 hours and play that. So it's very, very nice to see for our residents and the joy that they get by using those. As U.S. News and World Report states, the best nursing homes, so our long-term care was 2022 and 2023. Our home health is CHAP accredited, which is a community health accreditation partner. I'm proud to say we recently just got our new accreditation again. It's good for 3 years. So it's a grueling process to go through. Not a lot of folks can get that accreditation, and I'm proud to say our home health did it again. And so we are CHAP accredited for the next 3 years as well. SHP Best Home Health Patient Satisfaction winner in 2022. So this is a national event, and so you have to be in the top 5%, and this is voted on by the patients that you take care of in home health. So that was quite the honor for us to receive that award as well, to be in the top 5% of the nation. CMS, which is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Compass Park is a 5-star facility as ranked by those who manage the Medicare and Medicaid. So that's a top honor for us to have, to know that we have 5 stars when we're taking care of our residents here on campus. The top 10% in Indiana skilled nursing facilities, our skilled nursing is named the top 10% for the last 6 consecutive years in a row. So we're very proud of that honor as well, to have that recognition for the care that we provide for our residents. Our Newsweek had us as one of the best nursing homes in 2020, again in 2022, and again in 2023, and that's all for the state of Indiana. So Compass Park, the Indiana Masonic Home, where you remember how to enjoy life. And we thank you very much for allowing us to do this presentation with you today, all of you in attendance here and also that are live streaming. I hope this means a lot to you. And if anybody that needs a personal lodge presentation, you have my email, my phone number. We can set that up, and we can even do it jointly with the Indiana Masonic Home Foundation as well. So thank you, everyone. Yeah. And at this time, I'd like to invite the Executive Director for the Indiana Masonic Home Foundation, Eric Vermeulen.
It's great to have the opportunity to be able to address the many brothers who are watching us from home and even watch parties at their local lodges. We greatly appreciate your interest in what we're doing, and thank you for your continued support. In addition to that, we have a very nice crowd here at the community center at Compass Park here in Franklin. And it's very appropriate that we're in this building because it's your generosity that has, through the foundation, helped make this very building possible. And there are many other improvements on campus that are there because of that as well. The fact that you made a commitment to support the residents of Compass Park through the foundation, and we're extremely grateful for that. Among the many people who have helped to translate your generosity into that vision are our members of the board of directors. And those of you on the live stream can't see them, but I do want to recognize we've got 3 of our board members here in the room, including our president, Jeff Zering, the chairman of our investment committee, Bob Hukin, and our grand secretary, Rick Ellman. And then in a couple months, we're looking forward to welcoming our Grand Master back after his service to Grand Lodge. So we have a very active and caring board that helps to make those things a reality, and we're very grateful for that. As you can see, we're an entity that's been around since 1936. Chad mentioned the beginnings of the Indiana Masonic Home at Compass Park being 1916. So we're just lagging behind 20 years. So we've been around for a great deal of that time, and have been proud to be able to be a supporting partner as we go through the many years together. Here's a phrase that'll seem familiar to all the brethren, a commitment that we make when we become Masons to help, aid, and assist. There are many ways to do that as a Mason, many great Masonic charities and charities in general, but we feel like this is an especially appropriate one because it touches all of us, and we all know folks who have either come to stay here or those who have helped support that cause. You can see our mission, and those words at the bottom underlie the motivation for everything that we do. And those are our Masonic tenets of brotherly love, relief, and truth. And with those 3 concepts in mind, the board and the staff do the 3 things that turn the visions into reality. And that's to raise funds, prudently invest them, and then faithfully distribute them. And that's our commitment to you on an ongoing basis. And that's how we hope to continue to honor the generous commitment that you make to us. Here's a little snapshot in time since 1980, which is what we consider to be the beginning of the modern era of the foundation, to give you an idea of what your support has done through the years. Since that time, a little over $100 million in direct fraternal care for the residents here, and then just shy of $40 million to support special projects here on campus. Again, this very room, this very building that we're in, being a very nice example of that. These are things that benefit all residents on campus. But keep in mind that about half of the residents in Ball Brothers, as well as in assisted living and in the skilled nursing center, are here on fraternal care. So your assistance is crucial, and it helps to make sure that these services are available to all the brethren and Eastern Star members throughout the state. There are a lot of different ways to support the foundation and in turn support the residents of Compass Park, beginning with our Planned Giving Society, our Legacy Society, if you will, the Corinthian Society. You can make a charitable IRA distribution. We've got donor clubs. You can do an annuity, our BRIC program. You can even donate a vehicle. We've had some fairly vigorous vehicle donation activity here in the last couple of years, and we're very grateful for that. It seems to be a good option as people look at what they might do with their vehicles as they trade up or trade over. There are naming opportunities for buildings, and something that our colleague Lisa Dawn Doggett would not forgive me if I didn't mention with a big smile on my face, and that is our golf outing on June 6th of this year, which will be at the Country Club of Indianapolis. And I know many of you are big supporters of that and will be again this year. So just know that we're looking forward to hosting you that day, and that the funds you provide not only help to benefit the residents of Compass Park, but also Shriners Children's Hospital. So it's a great 2-for-1 opportunity for all of us. We're very honored this year to have the opportunity to support Grandmaster Gary Brindley and First Lady Marilyn's project, which is to bring another Tovertoffel unit onto campus. Chad made mention during his presentation of various pieces of equipment and opportunities to help residents rather with dementia to combat that. And the Tovertoffel is one that certainly does that in a big way. And the campus here already has one Tovertoffel unit. And just to let you know, those things run about $14,000. So $14,000 is not a small sum. And yet, through the Grandmaster's leadership on this project, we've already managed to raise that much for one unit, and we're getting close to a second unit. So that would be 3 total for the campus, and will benefit the residents greatly. So I'm going to give you a little chance here to see what that unit looks like. So why should you support the Masonic Home Foundation and in turn the residents of Compass Park? Well, you know, my friend Bob Bronlin and I from Monroe 22 were talking before the event this morning, and we were talking about various commitments we make in our everyday lives where we say, you know, I kind of came to regret that. And we were chuckling about the phrase, you know, it seemed like a good idea at the time. And we've all been there. What we're here to say is that when you make a commitment to the residents of Compass Park, or when you extend your commitment beyond what it already is, it's a commitment that you won't come back to regret. It's one that you will always say, you know, I'm glad I made that commitment. It's not one where you're going to say, that seemed like a good idea at the time. It will always seem like a good idea. So if you've got opportunities to donate in any of the ways we talked about, please do so. You can even do so online, and there are many different ways to get involved. More than anything, we can't say it enough, but thank you for the support that you provide to make all the great things that Chad talked about come true, to help enact a vision that makes Compass Park the retirement community of choice for Indiana Masons, Eastern Star members, and their families. So thank you for all that you continue to do to make that effort successful. We just can't say thank you enough. So one more time, thanks. Now it's my pleasure to call up our Senior Grand Warden, Randolph L. Seipel.
Well, good morning, my brothers. It's great to be here. I will be talking about lodge open houses. It's exciting to be here at the Indiana Masonic Home at Compass Park, a home. And how do you feel when you're invited into a stranger's home and you're feel welcomed and you feel good when you leave, that someone's taken the time to invite you to a meal, that they've talked to you and they've got to know you? It feels good. It feels good in this era of trying to bring new brothers in. A lot of brothers struggle with the idea of how to talk to somebody about the fraternity, how to explain what the fraternity means to them. And we all have someone within our circle of friends, maybe a nephew, a cousin, a son, even our father, the guy that cuts our hair at the barber shop, a guy down at work, that we would love to get into this fraternity, but a lot of us struggle with how to cross that bridge without, we always have the controversy of, can I ask? Do I ask? Can I recruit? How do we do that? Well, a great way to accomplish that is by having a lodge open house. So you can see the questions I'm going to try to answer. What is an open house? The types of open houses? Who are your target prospects? What kind of agenda should you have? How to follow up? And then more importantly, how to follow through. So basically, a lodge open house is just inviting a friend, a relative, someone that you know, someone that you feel like would be a great Mason into your lodge. The lodge is what to us? It's our home. It's our home. My lodge is my home. I feel almost as much at home at Temple Lodge 47 as I do in my own home because I feel supported there. I feel loved there. And if I need something, that's where I go to, is to my lodge. When we share the aspects in the beauty of our tenets, brotherly love, relief, and truth in our home setting, that message is better received. When you bring a prospective member into your lodge and you sit down and have a meal with them, like Brother Dave talked about, we've lost that social aspect. Myself and a lot of us out here came from the TV dinner generation. We got our TV dinner out of the oven. We sat in front of the TV and we watched Yogi Bear and Scooby-Doo in the afternoon. And we lost that conversation of that dinner time around the family table where we can exchange information. How was your day? It was great or it was bad. How are you doing? That's the best part of lodge, is that fraternal part of that meal. I hear your wife's not doing well. How's she doing? Is there anything I can do for you? You got a job promotion. That's great. When prospective members come into this fraternity and they see that bond of brotherly love that's sometimes hard to express, and they see that interaction with the lodge and the friendly jokes passed back and forth, they want to be a part of that. And it's an easy way to express that beautiful part of this fraternity that we have, because Masons are meant to gather together. We're meant to be together. All of us gathered together in this room, meeting new brothers, seeing brothers we haven't seen for a couple months, and all of you that are live streaming online, meeting in your lodges. We are meant to be together. And when we show that out in this fraternity, it's a light. My own lodge, when we have open houses, we've never failed to get at least one petition. Cloverdale Lodge, a lodge just south of my lodge, hadn't been very active in membership for a couple years. They put out on Facebook an open house where they just invited, if you're a man age 18 or older and you're interested in learning more about the fraternity, come to Cloverdale Lodge and have a meal. They had 15 or 20 prospective interested men show up. They signed 6 petitions. They're scheduling an entered apprentice degree every couple weeks. They're getting busy just by simply opening up the door and welcoming people into the lodge. It's a wonderful thing. So a public open house is just that. Get on Facebook and get online, social media and the newspaper, put posters up around your town and say, hey, we're opening up the lodge for men age 18 and older. Come on down, have some dinner with us, learn about Freemasonry, meet a few members in your community. You don't know who's going to show up, and that's a good thing. Now, my lodge uses a targeted open house kind of approach. We will say, give us 3 names of men that you know in your circle that you think are interested in the fraternity or you think would be good Masons. Let's contact them. Let's invite them to lodge, have a dinner before the stated meeting, give them a tour of the lodge, and just get to know them. Then we're bringing in a known commodity into the building. Sometimes that's a little bit easier, but we all have those people within our circle that would be great members of this fraternity. You can have special open houses for special interest type of people, police officers, firemen, military personnel. We've all got a Legion or a VFW in town. Invite them over for a dinner just to thank them. And then if they're interested, talk about the fraternity, tell them what we're about. I bet anyone you bring in that lodge has somebody that is a member of the fraternity or was a member of fraternity or a member of that lodge. We do a lot of impromptu open houses. If we have somebody that just the other day, I had a donation made to the lodge and we went and picked it up. And the guy says, well, I've been kind of interested about joining lodge. Come to our next stated meeting. We have dinner at 6:30. Sit down and eat with us. We'll be glad to talk to you. Doesn't have to be anything necessarily planned out. We have a stated meeting every month. What a great opportunity to invite a couple guys to the stated meeting and learn about the fraternity, and more importantly, meet and socialize with brothers that they may already know that are in the fraternity. Again, where do you target these men? Where do we find them? They're right here. They're right within our circle. If someone expresses an interest in this fraternity, grab a hold of it. Don't say, I'll get back to you. Whip out your phone, get their contact information, give them a business card, make contact with them, and follow up. If they don't make it to the first event, say, hey, sorry you couldn't make it. If you're free next month, why don't you try to come? Don't just leave them hanging on the vine. We have sons, we have grandsons, we have nephews and cousins, members of our family. Express to the importance of them the legacy of this great fraternity. Bring them in, pull out the old minute book, show them Grandpa's Masonic record, show them on the wall, the past masters who might have been relatives of theirs. It's endless the amount of history, as Barry knows, the amount of history that's within our lodges. When you do have an open house, I shouldn't have to say this, but it's important to be friendly. It is. You got to be friendly. How many times have you gone to lodge seriously and you went to a new lodge, you went to visit a lodge, and you're the guy sitting in the corner going, anybody going to talk to me? Who's that guy over there in the corner? I don't know him. Hope he's not from Grand Lodge. But it's important. Your senior deacon's specific job is to welcome and accommodate visiting brethren. Have somebody at the door. Hey, my name's Randy. It's great to see you. Thanks for coming. What do you do? Oh, well, I work in the farm supply business. Let me introduce you to my buddy, Kerry. He's a farmer. He'd be a great guy for you to sit and talk with. Take advantage of those opportunities. Be interested in them. Make sure you have a good meal. We all know that I love a good meal, especially if there's green beans. Make sure you have a good meal and good conversation, because that's social. that gets the conversation going. Give a tour of the lodge. Take them around, show them different things. Show them the rough ashlar and the perfect ashlar. Show them the working tools. Let them sit where the master sits. Let them see the scope of your lodge and what the different chairs are and who's supposed to sit there. Make sure the lodge is clean and neat. Nobody wants to invite somebody in their home when it's a mess. And we know it's our home, and sometimes you ignore the fact that it doesn't look like we've dusted the showcase off in about 3 years. Clean the bathrooms. It's ours. Sometimes, we let things go, but make a good impression. Anything that's in your monitor, your Freemason's guide, you can pretty well discuss. Tell them about the tenets of brotherly love, relief, and truth. In your own words, tell them what this fraternity means to you. Discuss the fraternity. Be prepared to answer some questions. Know your material in advance. Have something in your head that you can talk about, that you're familiar with, that you're comfortable with. Anticipate common questions. How much does it cost? How much time is it going to take? When do you meet? What's it all about? Rehearse your responses. That's my timer, because I always talk too long. Stay calm, active, listen to them. More importantly, make eye contact. Let them know you're interested in them. Educate them on the petition process, what it is going to cost. Talk to them about the traditional way to join the fraternity. Take your 3 degrees separately. Talk to them about upcoming one-day classes. A lot of guys are going to be interested in that. The most important thing you can do is follow up. You bring a guy into your lodge, give him a couple days, send him a text, send him an email, better yet, pick up the phone. Hey, we really appreciate you coming. We really appreciate it. If you have any other questions, if you need a petition, feel free to come back. Whatever we can do for you, let us know. And not every one of these men is going to join. But what did we leave them with? We leave them with meeting 15 or 20 guys in the community that are good men, that care, that took the time out of their busy schedule to talk to them and invite them into our home. It's so important. You will find great success in doing open houses. Pretty well went over that. Deputy Graham Master and I have been discussing that. In October of his year is going to be open house month. That doesn't mean that's the only time you can have an open house, but we're going to push every lodge to have some form of an open house, whether it's on a special Saturday, whether it's before your stated meeting. But let's start bringing good men that we know into this fraternity and make them our brothers. Bring them into your home, welcome them, and talk about this great fraternity. Brothers, I greatly appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much. It is now my privilege to introduce the one and only, the often have been imitated, never duplicated, John Bridegroom, the Junior Grand Warden.
All right. Good afternoon, brethren. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And thank you to those who are playing our home game on Zoom. Appreciate you guys being here too. I want to talk to you today about preliminary instructions. How many of you guys your lodges practice preliminary instructions? Well, that's a good amount. I see one guy on Zoom didn't raise his hand, so we'll talk to you later. But doing the preliminary instruction is very, very important. One, because it is required by the Blue Book of Masonic Law. So it does say in the Blue Book that the preliminary instruction must be delivered prior to the entered apprentice degree. But that's really not the most important reason why you should do it. The most important reason is because this is really one of our earliest opportunities to welcome a man into this fraternity and set him upon what we believe is going to be a life-changing, lifelong journey. I used to deliver the preliminary instructions for my lodge for several years, and I found it really rewarding. And one thing that I will maybe ask of you or implore you to do is, even though the Blue Book says that it needs to be delivered prior to the entered apprentice degree, I encourage you to not do it on the night of the entered apprentice degree. You should schedule that preliminary instruction about a week before if you can manage it, but at the very least, a day before or on a different day from when that degree is going to happen. And one of the biggest reasons for that is this is an opportunity for you and the candidate to get to know one another, for him to really have an opportunity to open up and see what he's becoming a part of. Prior to the preliminary instruction, your interaction with him has been one of somewhat scrutiny. You've been looking at him and saying, is he viable to be a member of this fraternity? We're looking at you to see if you're worthy to become a member of this. Well, now he's been elected. And so this is an opportunity to bring him into the lodge and get to know him a little bit better. The preliminary instruction booklet does a great job of explaining in a sort of general broad overview a little bit about our history, why we do the things we do, what we actually do in the lodge. And you got to remember that he might not know much about Freemasonry. He might be a bit in the dark as to what we actually do. And so that preliminary instruction is an important part of preparing him to become a member. But today, these days, it's often the other side of the spectrum. The younger guys coming in have spent a lot of time online, Googling Freemasonry, probably going on TikTok or Reddit and trying to discover everything they can about the fraternity before they commit to it. But what we often find is a lot of what they end up coming to the table with, what they know, is wrong. And so this is an opportunity for us to correct those misconceptions as well before they come into the fraternity. But a big part of it is just trying to make them feel more at home. It's difficult maybe for us to remember how scary it is to join Freemasonry, how intimidating that call when you get that you actually have been elected to membership, and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, what have I actually gotten myself into, right? I can go back and remember how, even though I was ready to do it because I knew people in the fraternity, how intimidating that first step was. And so it's our job to bring him in now and start making him feel at home, make him feel like he is now a part of what he's going to start to go through. And this is where we begin to build trust with this candidate, where we begin to build trust with him so that when you say to him, follow your guide and fear no danger, he believes you. And this, what we're really trying to do now is we're preparing him to be a brother. So again, before we were asking, is this guy good enough to be a member? Now we're his advocate. Now we're preparing him to be a brother and letting him know that he's a part of this now and we're here for him. And even though the preliminary instruction booklet does a good job of giving a bit of a general overview of what we do, this is our opportunity to explain to him what we actually do. You know, not just what's in the book and what our history says, but what do we do in this lodge? Because every new man that we bring into this fraternity is the foundation of the future of Freemasonry. And so we want to make sure that foundation is as strong and as educated as we can before we set them on the path. Now, any of you who have done any traveling are aware that every lodge has its own culture. You know, one lodge is different from the next. And although he's joining Freemasonry, he's not initially joining all of Freemasonry. He's joining your lodge. And so it's really important for you to share with him what the culture of your lodge is. These are the things we do. These are why we do it. You know, these are the brethren who do it. You're going to get to know them and you're going to get to be a part of this. And all of this is really about managing expectations. It's an opportunity for you to let this candidate know up front, these are the things that we expect of you when you become a member. But it's also important for us to ask him, what does he expect from us as a lodge? And if he's way off base, we can kind of guide him back towards the center. But it is important for us to know what he is expecting from us, because the closer that we can make the experience that he has to the expectations that he has, the more he's going to bond to this fraternity and the longer he's going to remain a member. The preliminary instruction, giving the preliminary instruction aside from the day he's getting his degree, is an opportunity to impress upon him that Freemasonry is a lifestyle. It's not just a club that you're joining. It's something that if you join it properly, what Freemasonry has to offer is going to inform and change your lifestyle going forward, you know, all the way through your life. And it's an opportunity for you to let him know that you are here to answer any questions that he might have. I like to say include the whole family. So he might not know what questions that he has. He's come to this preliminary instructions expecting to be told stuff. Maybe he's not prepared to have thought about the questions he may have, which is another reason why you should do this, a week prior if you can. And I give him the booklet. After you go through that booklet and you explain as much as you can to him, give him the booklet, tell him to take it home. Tell him to read it with his wife. Let his wife read it. Let them develop what questions they may have and tell him, here's my phone number. Any questions you've got, I will answer them for you, or I will find an answer for you. Also, remember that they bring something to the table. I had a gentleman to join my lodge, and he had this expectation that we were going to be doing all of these charitable activities. And at the time, we didn't really have any charitable activities on the table that we were doing. He came in and he said, well, I thought we were going to be doing, they said, well, what would you like to do? I would like to do a coat drive. And I said, well, this is a perfect opportunity. Come to the lodge, explain to the guys that you want to do a coat drive, explain to them what it's for, and let's get some guys together and let's do it. What you want out of Freemasonry, you can bring it to the table, and you are now part of this lodge, and we can make that happen. And it gives them a little bit of skin in the game. It gives them an opportunity to be a part of something that they've now joined. And let them know that if they take to heart the teachings of Freemasonry, they're going to be building experiences that are going to last them a lifetime. As our senior Grand Warden, Randy Seipel, has said several times, we're not just looking for members, we're looking for brothers. We're wanting to bring in people that we can build and strengthen this fraternity with, and that we can stand side by side and be proud to call them brother. So creating a sense of belonging for them is key to making sure that they understand that once they join Freemasonry, once they join your lodge, they're a part of this, and they will be an equal to everyone who's a member of that fraternity. Making sure that they have all of these elements, all the information that's in the booklet, all the information about your lodge and what they do and what the culture of your lodge is, you're creating an informed brother. And an informed brother is a stronger brother, and he's a brother that's going to stick around longer. That being said, it is also important that we deliver on our promises. So when you are having this preliminary instruction with him and you're explaining all these things to them, make sure that you are living up to the things that you're promising him when you're talking to him. When you talk about the culture of your lodge and what you do, make sure that you actually follow through and you do those things. Because whether we like it or not, we are the ones who provide the experience that they receive. So if they come in and they have a good experience or a bad experience, we provided that. So we're responsible for that. So when we set a guy off on what we consider to be a lifelong journey, and every journey begins with the first step, let's make sure that he steps off on the right foot. Thank you, brothers. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you our Senior Grand Deacon, Stephen A. Bates.
Thank you, John. My topic today is going to be talk further about Lodge Liaisons. There you go. So here is some. Grandmaster Brindley said we want to be more apparent and share some data. But here is the data of the visits of 2023 to 2024 to date. And you can see these are by districts. District 1, 14 visits. District 2, 11. 3, 8. 4, 43. District 5 has had 0 visits this year. District 6, 2. District 7, 6. District 8, 8. 9, 10, and 10, 9. So a total of 111 visits that we've had this year. And this year we've combined the liaisons, as Mike Pettigrew talked about at Founders Day. We've combined the role. So they're not only doing education, but membership, as well as helping on ritual. And if you don't know who your lodge liaison is, if you open up the portal, the Lodge Liaison contact is listed there, that you can contact them for a visit. But we feel this is going to be an important role going forward. And if you look at last year, here is comparing visits from 2023 or 2 to 2023. So you can see it's a dramatic decrease in visits this year. Is that caused by two reasons? Is one of them that we're just not getting people out and visiting like last year? Or is it not putting the data into the portal? This is something I'm going to start working on further with Grand Lecturer Denny Davis. We discussed this this past couple of weeks about maybe we don't have the right people. Maybe we do have the right people and they're not motivated, but those are the things that we're going to get with and try to identify brothers to make sure we have the right people out there helping. Again, they can really provide a wonderful experience and help. Out there, I know of a couple brothers in District 4, for example. I mean, they help on ritual, they give friendly advice. So it's a really benefit to do this. And also, it's really important if we're putting these visits in, that the liaisons put correct data in there and it's accurate. Because if a lodge happens to be in a little bit of trouble, that should be reflected in the report, and it's a red flag that we could come out and help. The whole purpose of the liaisons is to help out there. And so hopefully over the next few weeks, Denny and I will get together and identify some stuff, because we really want to kick this up back in gear for 2024 and 25. I do have a little bit of extra time. My beeper did not go off, and so I wonder if Randy Seipel needs any more time. But anyway, with that, I thank you all for your attention today. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Jerry B. Maple, our Junior Grand Deacon.
Morning, brethren. I want to start out by kind of going back to the Deputy Grand Master's message. He talked about a social recession, and I took note of that. I'm going to give you the meaning again. A social recession is a decline in bonding and a decline in general willingness or well-being among members of a community as a result of reduced personal interactions. But brothers, if we've been paying attention, we know this is happening in society as a whole. Well, how do we stop that from happening within our lodges? Now I'm going to lead into a question. Brothers, why do men join lodges? Do they do it so that they can memorize things? Do they do it to march in parades? Do they do it to attend a conference, either in person or via the internet on a Saturday morning? No. Brothers, men join our fraternity for brotherhood, a sense of belonging, for the connections they'll meet. So, back to the social recession. How do we make sure that that social recession doesn't get into our lodges? Well, one of the ways to do that, brothers, is through instituting a brother-to-brother program. Now, what that is just a program that our lodges reach out to our members. We let them know what's going on. We let them know, what is coming up. And more than that, we let them know that we care about them. We care about them as men and Masons. So how do we go about that? Well, brothers, we can do it through the telephone, we can do it through email, we can do it through cards, and we can do it through personal visits. Now, the best of these, by far, is the personal visit. That's going out to a brother's house, shaking his hand, saying, "Brother, how are you doing? What's going on with you? Is there anything that I or the lodge can do for you?" Well, a lot of our brothers are very well dispersed. Sometimes the personal visit's not exactly the thing we can do. But brothers, we can sure pick up a telephone. We can pick up a telephone anytime. Give those guys a call. Okay, why are we doing that? Well, we want to let the brothers know there's degree works going on, there's special events going on, and maybe this brother has died, and we want to let them know about the funeral. Well, honestly, brothers, that's the minimum we should be doing in our lodges at all. But the most important thing, just call to say hello. You know, we've got members that, you know, are dispersed. Maybe they haven't been to lodge in years. Maybe they live in Florida. Maybe they live in Arizona. You know, it means the world to these guys that someone just called to say hello. You know, I gave this story at Founders Day. I'm gonna do it again. My dad lived in Arizona, hadn't been to lodge for several years, and a member of the Scottish Rite 5 in Annapolis called him. He answered the phone, very confused, said, I don't understand what's going on. Why'd you call me? I've got my dues paid. What's going on? Well, after, you know, a moment of some confusion, so, brother, I'm just calling you to see how you're doing. I haven't talked to you for a while. You know, what's going on? How are things for you? Well, you know what? That meant the absolute world to my dad. My dad was in Arizona. He's removed from his brothers. He was removed from his community, removed from his lodge. It meant the absolute world to my dad that someone would take the time just to call him and see how he was doing. There was no other agenda. They didn't want anything from him. They didn't expect him to do anything. They wanted to call just to see how he was. Brothers, that makes all the difference in the world to these guys. So the one thing we absolutely do not want to do, our brother-to-brother calls are not for the collection of dues. We have a dues committee that is in charge of that. Let those guys do their jobs. We want them to know we are calling for no reason other than to find out how they're doing. So how can we do that? Well, there's a lot of different ways we can get together and do that. We can pick a night, the committee can get together and do the calls together. You can do it before or after a state meeting, or you can do another night at the lodge building. You know, you can do, bring in some food, you can play cards afterwards, you can do a lot of different things, guys. And then you can do this individually at home. Scottish Rite 5 in Indianapolis, we used to have a guy that if he had 20 minutes, he'd pick up the phone and make a couple phone calls. And that guy called hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of brothers every single year. Again, this is very important, so I'm going to reiterate it. The key is to make the brother understand that you're calling him just to check on him or inform him of what's going on. And he is the reason for the call. Now, there's some other methods of reaching out other than the phone call. You can do email. And there's a couple services out there, MailChimp and Constant Contact. I can tell you, I use Constant Contact in my business. It is incredibly powerful. It takes about a minute to enter a contact's name, address, phone number, birth date. And once you get that entered, you can tailor a message to them. You can send an email to a brother on his birthday. Hey, Brother Rick, happy birthday. Yeah. Brother Rick, happy birthday. You know, the lodge wants to wish you a very, very happy birthday, blah, blah, blah. You can do that you can tailor special events. It is incredibly powerful. I think you can do it for about $12 a month. Now, I have a different program. I pay a little bit more than that, but it's about $12 a month. You can do that. You can send greeting cards. You know, it means the world to some of these guys that have been removed from the lodge. They get a birthday card. They get just a thinking of you card. Hi, brother. Want to let you know I'm thinking about you. You know, and then sympathy cards. You know, it means a lot to brothers to know that their lodge is thinking about them in times of distress and in times of loss. So now, personal visits, those are the absolute best. We've got members in our area that maybe are shut-ins, maybe they don't drive at night, maybe they can't get to lodge for a lot of different reasons. You know, a lot of times these brothers will live alone. They have no one to come speak to them or come to see them. Well, guys, you know, you go to their house, you knock on the door, and you just wait to see the smile on their face as they brighten up and say, gosh, it's so great to hear from the lodge. You know, and those guys will sit down and they'll tell you stories about what happened, and they'll tell you stories, and they'll probably then tell you some more stories. But those guys, when you leave, that smile will be just as broad as any smile you've ever seen, because those guys are so happy to see that the lodge cares. So, you know, and then also sometimes, you know, as I spoke earlier, brothers experiencing a hard time, maybe a brother's experienced loss. You know, you come to that brother, you shake his hand, you give him a brotherly hug, and you say, brother, I love you. I care about you. The lodge loves you. The lodge cares about you. And that means just as much, brother. So the key to any brother-to-brother program is to do it. You start it. You start it and you do it. And you do it consistently. You do it with purpose. And you do it in an organized fashion. You get it together. You do those, you get that night at the lodge. You keep track of whom you've called. You keep track of who answered. You keep track of, maybe a brief thing on what you spoke about. Guys, we are taught in one of our degrees that we are to spread the cement of brotherly love and affection. Are we to do that with only the guys that come to lodge? Or are we to do that with every member of our fraternity, every member of our lodge? I think it's everyone. So thank you, brothers. Now, I'd like to welcome up Kenneth E. Willis, Jr., past Grand Master and Grand Treasurer.
Thank you, Brother Jerry. Well, good morning, everyone. It's good to be here and talk with you about a couple of business items, I guess. The first one is background checks. Several years ago, we instituted by law the fact that we were going to require a background check for all petitions. And at the present time, that means just what it says, all petitions. New petitions, transfers, dual membership, reinstatement, all petitions are required to have a background check. The purpose of the background check is simply truly a verification of their being forthcoming in their petition to the lodge, things that they should share. It is not the make or break as to whether or not the lodge accepts this individual into it. And I've had several secretaries call me, and it was their understanding that if they had something on it, that they were excluded from being brought in. And I said, no, that's not the case. This is the decision that the lodge has to make. So this is not a fail or pass situation as far as the background check. I'm really talking mostly to the secretaries. The secretaries are going to be the true contacts with most of our petitioners. And you're going to instruct them, and I hope you have a letter or form set up so that you can send to them so that they can follow it and understand exactly what's going on. It's pretty simple, but you instruct the petitioner to go to indianafreemasons.com. And they scroll to the bottom of that page and they will find verification. They'll click on that button and that will take them to the website for BIB. Now, BIB is the company that we are using. In the future, there may be another company and we'll put out some more instructions, but at the present time, BIB is the company that we use for background checks. You click it on and then you go to apply now, select membership, hit continue. There will be personal information that has to be entered. You'll hit continue. Then this is where we have some problems. Location. We are buying BIB's product. They are not making a product for us. So and we've talked to them, they will not change the process just for us. So a lot of these applications or these petition backgrounds obviously are for employment. And so it's for a city. a location. Our location is our lodge. That's a little confusing. Austin Lodge is not in Austin, Indiana. Madison Lodge is not in Madison, Indiana. Tipton Lodge is not in Tipton. And I can go on a little bit further. So it's important, very, very important that the secretary informs this individual and emphasizes continually that they have to go on the scroll and find the name of the lodge. And I will tell you right now that I deal with probably 4 or 5 every week where the wrong lodge has been chosen because they picked a name of a city. Sometimes I've even had, well, that was a county. I mean, Du Bois County, so I picked Du Bois Lodge. No, I'm sorry. You needed to go to Jasper, and there's always contention there anyway. So make sure, secretaries, that you inform them that they have to go to the name of the lodge, and make sure you supply them with the name of the lodge. Because again, I've had petitioners, they didn't know what lodge they were going to. And they had a number, but they didn't know the name of the lodge. Once they've done that, they will be given the option to pay, and it's through a debit card or credit card, and the cost right now is about, I think it's $14.95. $14.95. $45. Okay. $14.45. And again, I'm talking to the secretaries. Be patient. This may take some time. I've had them entered in on by 9 o'clock in the morning, and by noon I've got a report. Some of them are that fast. I've had some to take 6 months. It depends on how many times they have moved and how many states they have lived in. And until they're all completed, it is an incomplete report. And I can't do anything about it. I can't make them faster. I cannot call the courthouse in Kansas to tell them to hurry up with that, because I'm getting pressure from the secretary that they want to vote on him tonight. I can't do that. So, guys, be patient. Understand that everything takes time. The Brotherly Relief Fund. Our tenants, brotherly love, relief, and truth. Well, the first two are involved here. We started this program in 2018, and it's evolved. It started out as the Homeowners Fund, then it became the Brotherly Relief Fund. It is now a 501c3, and it's referred to as the Indiana Masonic Charities. The Indiana Masonic Charities and the other funds before this, we have contributed over $1 million donated to our brothers that are in need of some help, some financial relief. It's not a difficult process for us to do, but it does have a few things that we have to do. First of all, we have to have some information. Now, we want to make sure that we have a paper trail for everything we do. So we want, it can be in the form of a letter. If you want to take that time with the Postal Service, it's best to do it with an email. You can write up a nice formal letter and attach it to an email. That will be fine. Or you can just put all the information in the email. We want to know what the brother's needs are. What has caused him to get into the problems that he's had. What is the lodge doing to help that brother? Because that's our responsibility as lodge members to be helpful too. Now, we know that most lodges don't have that big of a relief fund, but they should be doing some things to help that brother out. Then the Grand Secretary and the Grand Treasurer will meet. We will discuss his situation, and we will decide what kind of relief we can give. Normally, we give the relief that has been requested up to a certain level. The individual can apply for himself. The lodge secretary can apply, the master, or any brother in the lodge that knows this brother is having some problems can make the application. We don't have a formal application because there are just too many things out there that can be a problem, that can cause an individual to be in financial distress, and trying to decide whether or not, yes, I did this, yes, a form just simply doesn't feel personal. And we can gather all the information that we need from those individuals that are responsible for making the application. You can send the email to the Grand Secretary or the Grand Treasurer, and we will take care of it. Normally, we have a decision made within just a few days. If you want to make a contribution, do not make it to the Brother Relief Fund. Contributions need to come to the Indiana Masonic Charities. And if you need a letter for tax purposes, let us know. We'll provide one. So brothers, continue to be generous and giving to the fund. Continue to take care of your brothers at home, and we will try to take care of brothers across the state as those problems develop. Brothers, I thank you for your time and your future support. Thank you. It is now my pleasure and privilege and honor to introduce to you Richard J. Ellman, past Grand Master and Grand Secretary of the Grand Lodge of the state of Indiana.
Well, thank you, my brother and all, and a big shout out to the boys at Indiana Harbor Lodge that are watching today. How you doing, guys? Y'all are looking good today. Looking good. All right, you know what this is, don't you? This is our Masonic license plate. How many here in this room and at home have one? Raise your hands. All right, nice job out there in video land. Way to go, way to go. All right, we've been doing this since 2014. That's quite a while, isn't it? And you can see the list of how many plates we've sold over the years. We were down a little bit last year, but we kicked it up again. So I have to encourage you to go out there and buy a Masonic plate. Get it any way you can. Cost $25. The initial one will cost you $40 because the BMV's got to get their cut, of course. But we'll send you $20 back on every plate that you get, and that comes in a recap credit. So just remember that comes in a recap credit. So if you look at your recap statement, that's where it is. Check out these numbers. This is the amount of money every year since we started that has gone back to the lodges. This year, in 2023 that we just got done with, $129,820. That's a whole bunch of money. Yeah, that's because of you guys, because you're going out there and buying those plates. Look at that, $1.29 million altogether. See, it is St. Patrick's Day almost, right? and a license plate, you get a pot of gold. Come on. You can do this. You can do this. You can make it happen. Make sure that you get that Masonic license plate. So here's our top 10 lodges. And again, big shout out to my boys at Indiana Harbor for 79 plates. But again, Plymouth Kill winning 96. And we got Porter Lodge, John Bridegroom. Look, how many plates do you have, John? 4 plates for John. Nice job. Who has 5 or more plates? Anybody? 4 plates? I have 4. 3? All right, there we go. 2. Okay. Oh, there. Okay, got 2. Don't forget the wagon and the wheelbarrow. Okay. All right, don't forget them. All right. Good job, guys. Thank you so much for that. All right, let's see. Oh, what's next here? Go back here. Okay, yeah, that's it. All right, so Patriot database update. We've been making some tweaks. We've added a few things. Secretary Joe Castro sent me a few things. He's here today that we added to the output on the dues information to make it easier for the secretaries to find the lodge guys, so they don't have to go back and forth if they're using spreadsheets. We did a couple of those things. I know Bob had we were looking for the late fee, so we got the late fee in there. And again, all these little tweaks, I know they take a little time, but they really help us make this better, streamlined. So keep that information coming. Annual reports, recap payments. What is today? The 9th? April 9th? No, March 9th. March 9th. Wish it was April 9th. No. March 9th. We only got a few days before your recap payments and your annual reports are due. So we'll be contacting those lodges. We'll send that list to the Grand Master so he can review it. Remember that your recap payment is due upon receipt. There's no vote needed to cut that check. Also, and I know you all know this, no reports, no payments, no credentials, no vote at the annual communication. So make sure you get that taken care of. Resolutions. You want to write some resolutions to change something in the Blue Book? We need that by April 1st. So please get that to us so that we can get that out. It's my duty and the office's duty to get that to you on or before May 1st. So that's why we need that stuff then. Annual communication, all the information will be sent to your lodge secretaries. Also the notices to the worshipful masters. Remember, your secretary, worshipful master, proxy registers the voting delegates. Must do that. All meal orders will be online only. Meal tickets will be electronics. 2 big things here, guys, 2 big things. Remember to bring your credentials that you get. That's the thing that says you are who you are and you can vote, and your membership card. As I've told you before, there's that door at the end of that long set of tables there. And I've seen guys go in. I've not seen them all come out. So just make sure that's the guys back in there that take care of that, and they'll take good care of you, I think. Annual communication this year will be a 1-day session. We'll try to get that all done in 1 day as we have in the past. This will be the typical schedule. Ellettsville Lodge will open, then we'll have Grand Lodge open. The noon lunch, by the way, that does happen at 12 p.m. I've had people ask. Pictures, installation of new grand officers somewhere between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. And then the dinner that night is the presentations of awards that have been given out, and then we'll close that and begin a new Grand Lodge year. This is the link to order your meal tickets if you would like. That all went out in the Lodge Leadership and Essential Notes earlier. So if you need to order any meal tickets, this is where you get that done. $25 for lunch, dinner's $50. As we all know, costs on everything are going up, and this is no exception. So please get those orders in. Please try not to call the office and order your tickets. Okay, it makes it very difficult. want to talk to you a little bit about remission of dues because it's remission of dues time now. And the reason you remit dues is because they're physically, financially, or health-wise have an issue. Also in the armed forces. So really make sure that if you're remitting a guy's dues, you're doing it for the right reasons. Remember, if you're unable to contact that person any way, shape, or form, that after 5 years, you should report them as lost. You should never NPD them if you haven't talked to them. This is a true story that just happened. A lady was trying to get information on her father so that she could apply for a scholarship for her son. So I see those emails when they come in. They all go to Greg Jordan, who's the head of our scholarship board. So I was sitting there, I looked up the guy's information. He was NPD'd in 2015 as a 42-year member. 42-year member. So unfortunately, I had to send an email back to the lady that said, unfortunately, your dad's been suspended NPD, so you're not eligible for that scholarship or to apply for it. She wrote back and she said, well, that was the time that my father had Alzheimer's and was getting treatment. So I wrote the lodge and I said, because I knew what lodge this was and I knew who the secretary was at that time. And he was that kind of a guy, unfortunately, that would, and maybe, who knows, there was maybe something else, but it didn't surprise me that he had been suspended NPD. So I talked to the new secretary, the officers at the lodge. They went back, looked at the records. They could find no good reason that he should have been suspended. So we put him back in as being erroneously suspended. Send an email to the lady. She was so happy. She was so grateful that we were able to take care of that. That's why it's so important to make sure that you do this right and that you do take the time to contact it, because I guarantee you, you never know. That guy could be across the street from you in a hospital or in a rehab facility, and you never know. So please make sure you try to get a hold of them. Issue a demit according to the Blue Book 33.020. You can now issue the demit upon verbal, written, or communicated request. And the guy doesn't have to pay the dues. Think about this. In years past, he had to pay the dues. So right now, if he paid his dues and he said, I want to demit, you would take the check, deposit it, he'd be in good shape, then he'd grant him a demit, then you'd have to cut a check back to him. The amount of money that the lodge gets there, and although it's small, probably not worth the time to do that. And that's why we changed that regulation. The other thing is make sure that when you do this, you don't have to follow the book to the T. If somebody walks in and says, Roger, I just seen our buddy Denny. He doesn't want to be a member anymore. I've talked to him. It's religious purposes. There's no way. I've spent time and time and time with him. There's no use signing a committee and asking him to stay in. I think we need to grant him a demit. Present that information. Secretary notes it in the minutes. The lodge votes to grant the demit. Poof, you're done. Just makes it that simple. There's no use stretching it out. There's no use doing that. And you give him the demit because he may change his mind further on, and then you don't have any additional issues. Remember that if it's an EA or a fellow craft, takes a unanimous vote, and you would return that portion of the degree money that was not used. So, brethren, it's that time of the year. Thank you all for your attention. Appreciate you all being here. Appreciate the folks out in YouTube and Zoom land. Thank you for everything. And let's have a great day, and let's have a great annual communication. And thank you for all you do. Thank you. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the Grand Master of the state of Indiana, Gary E. Brinley.
All right. Well, thank you, brethren. We have up on the slides upcoming opportunities. We've already talked about the one-day classes. April 13th, we will have rededications at Hopewell and Holton Lodges down in southeast Indiana. May 11th, Dennis Harrell, Past Grand Master, 50-year Past Master Award at Eureka Lodge number 397, along with the 50-year award for our Deputy Grand Master on that same day. May the 5th will be the Schofield House Grand Master's Pilgrimage. May the 18th, we will have rededication at Williamsburg Lodge. Oh, got more pay. Oh, there we go. More stuff. Williamsburg Lodge, 493 rededication, annual communication. June 1st, lots of things going on that day. June 15th, is that right? I don't think that's right. Is it June 15th, IMH Shrine and Golf Outing? June 6th. Should be June 6th. July 27th, Grand Masters Compass Park open. So the pilgrimage will be Sunday, May 5th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. You meet the Grand Master, Grand Lodge officers, tour the Schofield House, visit Madison, and have some lunch. So before we get ready to take questions, even though we're about to run out of time, I need to give some shout outs to some lodges that are watching via YouTube or Zoom. St. Joseph Lodge, 45, 9 members there. Madison, 44, 8. Carmel, 421, 5. Hannah, 61, 5. Reed, 316. 3, Bluffton 145, 6 members. Mount Moriah 77 with 2, Mooresville 78 with 2, Du Bois 520 with 8, Linton 560 with 4, Pierceton 377 with 7 members, Council Oaks 745 with 3, Tarakupi 204 with 3, Greenwood 514 with 4, Indiana Harbor with 6. Those 15 lodges have 75 people attending and watching. We've got at least another 21 different lodges that have registered in. Our peak attendees were 123 at 10:23, and so want to thank them. I got a couple other people that are here in the room that did not get introduced earlier. We have 2 past Grand Masters with us this morning. Most worshipful brother Roger S. Van Gordon and most worshipful brother Jeffrey P. Zering. I'd like to thank both of them for making the drive in, or in Jeff's case, the walk up the trail to the, so. We also have some appointed officers here in the room. Andy Stevens, Marketing and PR Director. Tracy Cooksey, Grand Steward and Tyler. Derek Sterneman, photographer for the Grand Lodge. David Westmeyer, our Grand Marshal. Dirk Rader, our Assistant Grand Lecturer. And Denny Davis, our Grand Lecturer. So thank those guys for being here. And I would be remiss if I did not thank this next group. It's our technology committee that have been running the stream, that put together everything, been answering questions, doing all those things. So I want to thank David Hostler, Seamus Driver, James Buckhorn, Todd Whitterberry, and Tyler Whitaker for their help this morning. And thank you guys for everything. So I'm looking back to the back of the room for questions. Where are we at for time? We're at 12 o'clock, huh? All right. 5 minutes for questions? All right. You got questions for me, Dave, or are we good? Yep. So can a member's family reside within the Masonic home? And I don't see Chad in the room. There he is. Go ahead and tell him, or I'll repeat, I'll answer.
So the answer to that question is yes, as long as the member was in good standing, either currently or at the time they passed. And then that allows that family member, if you're immediate family member, such as a sibling, a parent-in-law, daughter, brother, those type of things, they would have an opportunity to come in on what we call the entrance fee plan option or a rental. But you cannot come in and participate on the fraternal plan unless you're the actual member in the state of Indiana.
All right, next question. That's it? Yep. Okay. Okay, so we still got, today's the 8th, right? 9th. So we still got 22 days for Master Masons to be raised, to be included into that pool for the TVs. So we'll announce that at annual communication. So Grandmasters Award for 2022, hope to have that information put together and completed by sometime in early April, so that we can present those at annual communication along with the 2023 Grandmasters Award recipients. Yep. All right. Anybody got any other questions in the room? Or if not, brethren, I just want to, Brandon, yes. Okay. They
Yeah, so Youngs Creek is open to the public as well. You just have different opportunities to come in on. So whereas Masons have the life care entrance fee option to go throughout their lifetime, that the Compass Park will take care of them. A non-member has either a rental plan or a 90% return on capital plan. Yep.
Okay, so I think we've had a pretty good day today. I got a text a little bit earlier from one of my Masonic friends from here in the Indianapolis area, watching from Florida. So we are multi-state. Blake Beals from Germany. Thank you, Blake. So we're international with this event today. So with that, I'd like to call on our Deputy Grand Master for our benediction. Let's see how well he does it.
Brothers, if you'll stand. Supreme Ruler of the universe, once again, we come before you thanking you so much for this honor and privilege to be able to come together as brothers, to be able to share information, to share this light that you have provided for us. May we leave this place in harmony. Guide and direct us, keep us safe in all of our travels, and may we come back together at the appointed time. In your name we pray, amen.
So the conference has been recorded. I'm looking at David here, and it will be available on YouTube for anybody if they want to come back and review it again, or to encourage other people to take a chance to look at the conference. So All right. And we do have Grandmaster's ties and pins for sale. We're raising the money for the Torva Toffel. Thank you.
It's good to see you today.